Hello everybody, and welcome to today's live video where we're going to talk about Uranus going direct. Technically, this happened this morning, so we're already in this energy. However, sometimes the outer planet is going direct. You're not going to feel it that second. So in this video, we're going to go over what Uranus direct means for you based on your sun, moon, and rising. We're going to start with Aries and we're going to go through Pisces as always. And I have to check the sound. If you're jumping on, say hello. If you're watching the replay, after a certain amount of time, there should be some timestamps where you can go straight to that section of the video. If you're getting here before the timestamps are up, I put a little banner with the name of the sign up so you can find it easily on the video. People ask for that. So while I'm checking this out, you guys, let me know how you're doing, how you're feeling in this current energy that we're in. Just coming off of this new moon and yes, with everything. So like I said, I have to check the sound. Okay, that is good. Okay, so that being said, let's just get right into it. We're going to talk about Uranus Direct. Also, there are a couple of other videos that are going over the current transits, what we got going on. So there's a Venus North Node video. That's going to tell you what's happening on the 1st of February. Then we have the Jupiter Direct video. That's happening February 4th. And there's also a video that I recorded in December live on the nodes changing signs. That's still accurate. That still applies right now. And since they just shifted this month, we're still like in this transition sort of. Good time to watch if you haven't watched is what I'm trying to say. So check that out. And I'm going to check the comments. How is everyone feeling? Okay, so magically intuitive today felt weird. Courtney's here. I'm finally here for a live. Hello, welcome back. It's good to see you again. Exhausted to say the least. Okay, so magically intuitive feels weird. Courtney feels exhausted, and then magically intuitive as it's like a new day at school. Okay, interesting. Interesting. I honestly thought kind of that I really did think that my birthday, because in astrology there's a chart of your year. Okay, so like every year your birthday is kind of like a new year, new you. It really is though. um but what was I going to say about it? Oh yeah, I totally thought that like this year I would have more energy, or the pace would pick up a little bit. The pace has not felt like it picked up. So I'm still kind of feeling like I'm dragging myself everywhere I go. I'm dragging myself to do everything, but we'll see if something else shifts that, right? Because sometimes it's the energy and then sometimes it's us. And I know if you're watching this, you know that. I think I just sometimes following astrology, do you ever feel just kind of misunderstood? Sometimes I even have clients who think that I'm like giving all my power to the stars. I'm like, not really. I just know what they're capable of doing. And, people who maybe don't know, or people who, I don't know, kind of want to believe they can do anything. And it's like, yeah, you can do a lot. Don't get me wrong. You can do a lot. A lot of things are possible. But sometimes the best way to freedom is to accept our own limits. Anyway, that's a little rant. Magically Intuitive says, last year my sixth house was activated. Ready for my birthday. Yeah, okay. I felt like that last year too. So I had Mars in Scorpio conjunct the South Node and Pluto activated. I'm not trying to one up you. The sixth house is not fun either. But that's one of those things that it's like, if I'm going into a sixth house year or 12th house year, I'm like, okay, this might be, there might be some challenges here. But also, there's always the good too, right? So, and I've also, I have had some good sixth house things happen where my problems got solved. So sometimes the sixth house can have good stuff to it as well. Anyway, not to lecture you or anything. No one, hello. And okay, so yeah, I agree. I go through that with clients. Yeah. And then, of course, even just people in general who are like, who don't know anything about astrology. I'm like, can we even be friends now? Like, what am I going to do? I need astrology friends. Cause like, it's like, no, you don't understand. You don't understand what this planet has the power of doing. You just don't get it. And it's fine. I'm not going to make anyone get it. I'm not going to try to force anyone to get me. I'm not going to try to convert my coworkers to following astrology. But it's nice when people get it. And if you know, you know. Okay, enough of my little rambling. Let's get on to the planets and the sky and what they're doing. I've never actually done, I don't think I've ever done a thing on Uranus Direct. And I was thinking about this beforehand. I'm like, what am I going to share without, I always, every single time I do a reading or every single time I do a live, you guys, I'm like, how do I express this without lying to people, without giving them too much hope, without going too far into la la land, right? Okay. Anyway, let's do it. Let's get into the actual readings, starting with Aries, going through Pisces, and we're going to talk about what Uranus direct might shift slightly. And for Uranus going direct especially, I'm thinking this is going to be little changes, right? Because Uranus for all of us in Taurus has been in that same house for many years. We will get to see a glimpse of Uranus in Gemini in 2025. I personally am super looking forward to this. And also like, ooh, what's going to happen in my own life? Like, what's going to change, right? Because like wherever we have Uranus, when it's transiting, it's going to inspire us to have freedom in that area, to liberate ourselves from the things that have been holding us down in that area. So like if Uranus is in your second house, like Aries, it's going to, you might want to be liberated financially, but sometimes that doesn't feel like, I don't know, like good, right? Because sometimes that means you're disconnected from how you made money before. That's financial liberation. So the extent to which Uranus is positive or negative really kind of depends. It's like a roll of the dice on one hand, but also it depends on how much Uranus you have inside of you that you would like that or dislike that, right? So if you're someone with a lot of Cancer energy or a lot of even Taurus energy or a lot of, I'm thinking of the signs that prefer stability, right? Even Capricorn energy, even I wouldn't say Virgo, maybe even Leo energy a little bit, where Leo or Scorpio, even where you just don't necessarily need change in your life. Those signs that prefer comfort, they prefer stability, they prefer things being the same. And then anyone else who just relates with that are not going to like the Uranus stuff as much. Those of us like me who maybe have Uranus in an angular house or have Uranus in aspect to a personal planet where it feels more like it's who you are. It's part of your identity is to be a free thinker. Part of your identity is to disconnect yourself from cults or from like groups of people who want to make you think a certain way or, to become a free spirit, to disconnect yourself from groups that, are not serving you or even family members who maybe aren't right for you for whatever reason. The more you relate to that Uranian energy, the more Uranus transits might actually feel positive. Like when I started working remotely, that felt like the best thing because I'm a Uranian person and that freedom was like a breath of fresh air to me. Now, I didn't end up staying with that. I probably wouldn't be as happy working remotely now because I've realized it's too isolating, but that's another story. Okay, I'm going to drink some water. I'm going to put up the thing and then we're going to start. Okay. So we have Aries is going to be first. So for Aries, we already have the chart up for Aries. And we're looking at Uranus here in your second house and it going direct. Now, keep in mind, right? Uranus has been here for a while. So it's not like a brand new energy. Unless you have like planets at 23 degrees of like the fixed signs or of the earth signs. But the point here is that could it be a financial change? Yes. Okay. Aries could be in store for a financial change. But it might not be something life-changing that if you wrote a book about your life, it might not go in there, right? It might be like, oh, now I'm ready to buy that new couch. So Aries might be buying a new couch. You might be making a change that you have spent the last 6 months trying to get ready to do. This would be a good time if you want to work with this energy to, again, liberate yourself financially. So that might be disconnecting from things that you realize, like bad habits financially, disconnecting from a certain financial identity that you've had, connecting with a new way of making money. Not all Aries are going to be doing that right now, just some. And then, really, what are your values, right? Uranus in the second house, what are your values? What do you believe in when it comes to money? That might be a topic today or this week or upcoming that is kind of important to you. Like, what do you believe about money? What do you believe about money? And are you spending your money in a way that aligns with what you believe? There might be something, and that could be so many things, right? Some of you might be budgeting. Some of you might be with Venus in the 12th house right now, I would actually not, this is not financial advice. So here's how I'm going to say this. I personally made some bad purchases when Venus was in my 12th house because it's like you don't see what you're doing wrong with your money, and Neptune's there distorting it even further. I would not go buy oops, I messed this up. I gotta fix it. I would not be going and buying like a big screen TV right now if I had this transit. You can do whatever you want, but this is what I would do if it was me. And I'll tell you when I would. I would wait until after Venus gets into Aries, and that will be the 4th. Now, again, I'm not telling you what you can or can't buy. For some Aries, maybe you are buying something that is like very much like a big screen TV, where it's going to be something that gets you to that altered state of consciousness. That's what TV does. TV and movies do. It puts you in an altered state where, just like driving also puts you in an altered state. So, but why is it about money? Because Venus rules your second house of money. And where's your money? It's in the 12th house, which is the house where we kind of know things that go in there are things we don't see very well. It's our self-sabotage. So I would just watch, I would just be really mindful of and conscious when spending money as an Aries during the next few days, and just be super aware because you have a double influence of things that can make you or sort of contribute to lack of awareness and a feeling like I just don't want to think about it. Okay. Neptune can literally dissolve your money. Okay. It could literally be you put your dollar bills in the washing machine, right? Neptune can dissolve your money, but it can also be in any other way. So in my case, the last time this transit happened that I wasn't aware, it was like one purchase that I should have just waited. I would have gotten a lot more for my money. And then another purchase that I was just like, a pretty big amount of money that was lost that I couldn't recoup, and I suffered. I really suffered from that mistake. So I'm not saying you have to, because you might be fine and you might not be buying anything and it might be totally cool. But I would watch my money. That is really what I have for Aries, is like watch your money. And with Uranus again in that second house going direct, it's like, what financial changes do you want to make? Do you want to be a freelancer? Do you want to be more in control of when your money comes in? Do you want to be more sovereign in your work and be able to call more shots, and do you want to work remotely? Like, what aspect of financial freedom are you looking for right now? Now would be a really good time to focus on that area, because it's now direct. So the things that have been percolating in your mind around this, now they can be more easily manifest. Okay. So we're going to go on to our next sign, which is Taurus. And let me just get that little, there we go. All right, so now we are on Taurus, and we are talking about Uranus going direct. Uranus is already direct. Today is Thursday. It went direct earlier today. Don't feel like you missed it, right? Because when outer planets go direct, it may not happen the exact time and day. Like, you might not necessarily feel that until like the moon hits Uranus, which isn't going to be for like 1, 2, 3, like 5 days or so. So just, in the next week-ish is what I would say this is about. So if you are a Taurus and your rising is between like 20 degrees to the rest of the sign, I would say this is going to affect you more. The closer your rising is to 23 degrees, the more, or your sun or your moon, if you're watching that, the more this will be really, really important and like very life-changing. Okay, so or just like, usually when Uranus hits your ascendant, your sun or your moon, it's a change. It's a change that was unexpected. It's a sudden thing. It might be good. It might be challenging. It might be stressful, but it's a change. If you want to change your look, now is the time. If you want to change your body, like work out more, or what you do with your body every day, like how you treat your body. And I know habits, they're going to go here in the 6th house, but the first house is our actual body. So it's like where our body is and what our body is doing is indicated by that first house. So like, that can be workouts, that can be sports, that can be just how active your life is, or what kind of things you do, or where you frequent regularly could be changing. Although when I think of this, really, I think of like getting a getting a nose piercing right here, or like something else that's like, very what's the word? Not mainstream, very different, How are you differentiating yourself? And some Tauruses might, sometimes you don't want to change, but there might be something about your identity too. Something about how you self-define right now that you might feel like changing. And really, this is a great time for Taurus to change pretty much anything. Why? Because Uranus in the first house will be slightly destabilizing, because the first house is our identity. Uranus changes it, but the way Uranus changes it is off, on, off, on, off, on. This is not like a Pluto transit where it's going to slowly change you and you're going to come out the other side, emerge a totally new version that's been through something. It's not like that. It's not a slow burn. Uranus is a quick idea that you just follow through. Now, other reasons why it's a good time to change your appearance: Venus conjunct Neptune in the North Node in Pisces is very lovely, very aesthetic, very beautiful, very alluring, very social, very soft, very easy, very mystical, magical, vibey, Vibey is my word for Venus Neptune. It rules, Neptune rules things we see on screens. Venus rules perfume and beauty and makeup and just our look, the way things look, design, art. And so Neptune there kind of softens that more. So that's why this is a good time to change your appearance. It doesn't mean you have to if you don't want to, Taurus. For Tauruses who are like, that is not on the radar, that is not something I'm doing, Uranus does rule your 10th house if we're looking at the modern ruler here. So it could be a slight change to your work schedule, a slight change to your role at work might be happening as well at this time. So be aware of that. And so those are the two things that I would say, the two or three things I would say for Tauruses. Okay, going on to our next sign. Oh, I have an announcement. I have an announcement to make that I was going to make at the beginning and I forgot. So the announcement is I'm doing a reading sale. So if you want to get a Zoom call with me going over your personal astrology chart, you can do so. The sale is going to start on the 1st of February. So make sure that you either mark your calendar or you get on my email list. You'll get you'll get an email, you'll get a bunch of emails about it. Or just remember if you want to just remember. And I'll put a post on YouTube as well for those of you who prefer that, but just know there is going to be a sale. So get in on that if you want to work with me because those tend to go fast. And I do have a few people who already want them. So if you want to get the time you want, I would say the best thing to do is get on my email list. So you get that first email on the 1st with the open schedule, and then you can just schedule it. Okay, going on to our next sign, which is our lovely Geminis. Gemini, Uranus goes direct in the 12th house. So this is good for spiritual realizations. Okay. That's the best case scenario. Worst case scenario, a little overwhelming. Worst case scenario, Uranus in the 12th is overwhelmed and I don't know why. But I don't predict that that will be the way it feels the whole 6 months that Uranus is direct. But if you felt overwhelmed today or a little weird, like somebody else on the chat said, well, maybe that would be it. Maybe it would make you feel, and weird isn't even the right word here for what I'm trying to say, because Uranus in the 12th is like a sudden realization that this pattern you've always had, like you can just see your part in it now when you couldn't before. That's kind of what I feel with Uranus in the 12th. Now, do you want to see that or not? That's going to make it depend on whether it feels good, weird, or overwhelming or otherwise. Now, also considering, Uranus in the 12th can just be also a mainstream, like non-mainstream ways of understanding your psyche, non-mainstream ways of doing therapy, non-mainstream ways of connecting to your spiritual path or recovery, even something like refuge recovery or like some kind of alternative way of recovering from anything you would recover from could also be, or an alternative way of meditating could be coming up here for Geminis. Okay, now Uranus also rules the 9th house, where this is also a very spiritual house. This is the house of God. And so because of that, it's going to be the potential for spiritual realizations, the potential for connecting with a faith or knowledge or spirit, very, very high right now. Really good time for Geminis, if you're not already doing it, to be reading some kind of spiritual text, to be connecting with your astrology chart, to be learning from some kind of spiritual teacher you want to learn from, to be binge watching YouTube videos on, some spiritual topic you're super interested in. It just feels like the ability to kind of let it connect and like have some kind of sudden idea related to a mentor, teacher, guru, or someone you follow online or follow in general, not online. Very much highly indicated. Okay. And really, when I think of the 9th and 12th house stuff, it's like what's meaningful and private, these private, meaningful moments. Maybe you pray for something and you get it. Maybe you remember a time when you were young where you prayed for something and you got it, but you had forgotten about that, right? Maybe there's something that just can reconnect you to your spiritual path. That's what this transit, I would say, is good for. And if you want to know more about stuff that is beyond those topics, then watch my video on Jupiter Direct and watch my video on Venus North Node, because those are both happening very soon and they're both other stuff. All right, going on now to Cancers. All right, for my Cancers, we have Uranus in the 11th house, and we have, yeah, Uranus direct in the 11th. So, I mean, yeah, if you're a Cancer who has been wanting to hang out with certain people, been trying to get together with your friends and you can't, been thinking about joining some kind of professional association, this is kind of a green light for all of those activities, including just hanging out with friends. Now, because Uranus rules that eighth house of transformation, the occult, the other side, and financial stuff, maybe there's something you can move forward with a financial topic like paying off debt or taxes, or even something like where you want to invest money, things like that, especially if it's for a hope and dream. Why? Because Uranus is in the 11th house of hopes and dreams. If your hopes and dreams have changed in the last 10 years or 12 years or something, well, Uranus in the 11th could be inspiring some new hopes or dreams. It doesn't, or, reconnecting you to a hope and dream that maybe you just haven't felt so inspired by lately. Or is there and you're even on the path, but now you just have some idea. If you have a social media audience and you're a Cancer, then maybe this could be a change to your audience, or, the audience sort of coming online, so to speak. Uranus has that feeling of like something comes online, something activates. And I don't like to use the word activation because I feel like, what does that even mean? Like, what does it mean? It means that area of life, it's like a light switch. It turns off and turns on. And it rules your eighth house of intimacy. So maybe you're able to suddenly connect more deeply to your friends that are not as close, your friends that are more like your community members that, maybe you're not super best friends with, and now you can be closer to them. Maybe someone who you're close to and you trust helps you make more friends or introduces you to a new circle of people, whether it be friend-wise or professionally. Okay, so those are some of the things Cancer can look forward to. And if you want more, you can watch my video on Jupiter going direct and on Venus North Node. So that's going to tell you about this 12th house stuff and this 9th house stuff, which is pretty exciting too. Okay, going on now to Leos. And Leos. Okay. Let me focus here. Leos have Uranus in the 10th house. Now, Uranus in the 10th has sort of a feeling like I'm out. Like it kind of does encourage you to, you no longer tolerate the ways you have to be inauthentic to do a certain job. If you have had a job or a career that you cannot be yourself, it's not really what you want to be doing. When Uranus is in that 10th house, it's been here for a while for Leos. It can make you feel like, I got to get the hell out of here. It just can put you in touch. Pluto or Uranus in the 10th will put you in touch with your real authentic needs in your career. Okay. You are probably not going to go quit your job from this transit, but you might connect with a new change that you want to make with your public image, whether it be your branding, whether it be your, even just how you show up at work and your work identity. Maybe your role might shift a little bit, or the way you approach it might need to change a little bit. And it might be something fun and inspiring, or it might be something a little different. Another thing though is that Uranus rules your 7th house of relationships with other people. So having it go direct in the 10th does make me feel like Leos who are looking for love, it would be good to be out in public where you have the potential to meet people. And that Uranus, if you're already in a relationship, something about it could just be a little bit more public at this time. And public is, take that as relative, right? Let's say you and your partner have a group of 20 friends. Those 20 friends might be your public relationship life, right? It doesn't have to be fame. Okay, your public life is your public life. It could be how the people down the block think of you and your partner. So for some Leos, especially if you've already been in a relationship, it's possible that this Uranus direct could actually be bringing a sort of public, making it public. Someone sees you kissing somewhere, or you know what I mean? Like, or you go out as a couple to your friend group or something, right? So it can be that. Now, if you're not in a relationship at all, then remember that your seventh ruler can also be your friends, your close friends. So this could be Leo risings out there or sun or moon whose friend or best friend has something public happening in their life. It can always be someone else too. But overall, the changes that I see Uranus direct creating or encouraging for Leos is going to be, how do you want to be more authentic in your career? What are your values in your work and that area of life being able to move forward, especially on the fourth when Jupiter goes direct, because that's Jupiter direct in the 11th house of friends and the public, while Uranus is direct in the 10th house of your public image and your career. So it does feel like these two can really work together to kind of get your name out there if that's what you're trying to do, or to at least create some connection and authenticity and energy related to career and work and what you're doing as your job. So yeah, that is Leos. Let's go on now to our Virgos. For Virgos, Uranus goes direct in the ninth house, so you may feel more inclined to connect with certain spiritual teachings that, you may have a reconnection to. You may feel more insight, awareness, epiphanies, realizations about your spiritual path. And this would be a really good time if you felt like you're not sure what your next steps are going to be related to your spiritual path and just your life path in general. Like what's meaningful, what's meant for me. Uranus going direct might help you find those answers if that's something you're seeking. Uranus going through the ninth in general has been causing changes to belief systems. Now, one of the reasons I don't love personally ninth house transits is because you don't always feel all happy like, oh, now I found God, everything's great. Sometimes planets going through your ninth house indicate the challenge with that area, which means you're questioning what you believe. Maybe something you thought you believed, you no longer believe. And with Uranus in the ninth, Virgos might feel like the last 10 years or so, it's been like, do I believe this? Or do I believe this? No, I believe this. And it may not be this extreme. Just take it how it resonates. But this idea that like your beliefs might be going online and going offline. You might be connecting to a belief system and disconnecting from it because it's too hard to have faith or something like that. There might be some feelings of trauma even. And I don't like saying trauma on general readings because I'm not diagnosing anything. Let's pick a different word. There could be feelings of disconnection and pain from disconnection related to God, prayer, spiritual groups, teachers, mentors, gurus, any of that kind of thing. Why? Because even though Uranus in the ninth could actually connect you with the exact teaching, and it could be like, yes, I'm connected. Because it's Uranus, it might be like, oh, I'm connected. Now I'm not connected. Oh, now I'm connected. Or, it could be more like a sporadic connection. For some Virgos, you might separate from a belief system during these years. And that might be one of the major themes of life is the belief systems that you've connected with and separated from. You might connect with something and then disconnect from it. Okay, how many times can I say that? All right, let's consider that it rules your sixth house in modern. Uranus is the modern ruler of your sixth house. What does that mean? It means habits suddenly maybe are a little more on the spiritual side. Maybe what you're doing day to day is you're doing it for the purpose of getting closer to God. You're doing it for the purpose of connecting with the universe, connecting with your path, connecting with your spirit. Maybe you started reading some spiritual literature, or maybe you started a new practice, or maybe you went back to a meditation practice. So some kind of spiritual practice is really highlighted at this time, or anything that to you is like going to help you feel like life is more meaningful. So for one person, that could be meditating. For another, it could be conscious eating, right? Or whatever it is, that's that next step now, or the last week or the next week might be a time where you find yourself again connecting with these things. I would say great time, especially with the South Node going through your first, to reconnect or connect further to your spirit, to your spiritual beliefs, to your spiritual path, to what is meaningful to you, and to releasing, that South Node in the first, emptying out through meditation or through other practices, creating this space, right? Creating this space for that activating spiritual energy to come in. That's what I would say for Virgos. And if you want more, check out some of my other videos. We're going to go on now to the Libras. Oops, I had it on Leo. I did that last time too. Let's go to Libra. Okay. Libras, we have Uranus in your 8th house going direct. Now, the first thing I think of with 8th house is like taxes, other people's money, joint finances, joint resources. Even like if you have a business and you get money from clients, Uranus can represent that. So that can be an area that kind of moves forward a little bit at this point. So it could be like a thing, like you get a tax return or you pay your taxes or something like that. Or you're planning on, especially if you're like finances is a part of life. So if you're planning on investing, if you're planning on tax stuff, if you're planning on dealing with an estate or something, I wouldn't predict that. Those things might be coming up at this time. However, let's get into the more emotional stuff that I know you guys want to know about. With the 8th house, it's intimacy. And Uranus here can be a change to intimacy. Could it be good? Could it be bad? I don't know. It's probably unexpected. Now, because it's just going direct and it's not necessary, it may or may not aspect your personal planets here. It may not be a life-changing change to your intimacy. It might just be like one of the day-to-day things where it's like, I'm trying to think of how this might show up in your life with where like maybe you just suddenly get closer to someone, or someone who you're close to, now you're disconnected from them. Maybe your partner is on a trip or something like that. It can go either way here. Let's talk about the psychic side of the 8th house because that's fun stuff. Uranus here going direct in the 8th. This is kind of like if you're doing a tarot reading and you just get a download, right? Or like it's really, the 8th house is more the other side of the veil stuff when it comes to spirituality, whereas the 9th house is more like, I see it more, a little bit more as like the mental, the theology, right? The study of religion. Whereas the 8th house is a little more like, I talked to spirit, or I went to a medium, or, something like that. The 8th house also has some more, I want to say not seedy, but just like taboo, right? The taboo stuff, right? Like again, the other side of the veil, what happens when we die, the topic of death, the topic of sexuality, any kind of taboo stuff that's like people who are fascinated with serial killers, psychology all goes in that 8th house, these niche interests. So if you're a Libra with a niche interest, maybe that niche interest is now popping up right now. Now, the 5th house rules, Uranus is the modern ruler of your 5th house of fun. So the planet of the fun house in the 8th house, to me for Libras, kind of makes me feel like you might be in this like 10-year or something liberation. It's more than 10 years, but I'm just rounding. Liberation of your sexuality, or just the topic of pleasure in general, where, now take this as it resonates, but it does feel like Libras could just be finding more ways to have pleasure isn't right. It's more like exploring what's authentic for you when it comes to what you enjoy, what is fun for you in the bedroom or outside of the bedroom. But because we have the eighth house of intimacy, it does feel like there might be other people related to this, and it might be just enjoying life with others, right? And that being really activated, especially this week, where it's like if you have a sudden interest, if you have a sudden intuitive nudge, if you have a sudden feeling about something, this would be a time to kind of consider just seeing where that feeling goes. Not necessarily just go with it, but just see what, oh my God, hold on. Hold on a second, guys. Sometimes I have to block people. Okay, I think that worked. One second. Okay. Okay, back to what we were talking about with Libra and the yes, Libra and the where was I even? The Uranus in the eighth, which is super already super kind of hard to interpret because it's like the eighth house is also connected to other people. It's like sometimes the eighth house is the other person, and Uranus can be like crises. So some Libras, especially around the 30th, today, Thursday, Friday, Saturday even, might have like friends or loved ones who are kind of going through something that shakes them up a little bit, and they're leaning on you, or you're in their life and you're present and you're aware of that person's needs or that person's crisis, little mini crisis, big crisis that they're going through. So that's another thing. But keep in mind the eighth house, like when it's in the eighth house, it's usually not you. It's usually something that you experience through other people. Okay, so those are the things that I have for Libra. Let's go on to our next sign, which is going to be Scorpio. Let me get to the caption. Okay, so for Scorpios, we have Uranus in the seventh house. So this does not mean Scorpios are all going to go get married or get into a relationship. That's one of the misconceptions about the seventh house in transit. It's not always your lover. It's not always your relationship. Why? Because sometimes we're all single. We all are single sometimes. And we still have a seventh house and we still have planets going through it. The seventh house is going to be the planets that, okay, how do I put this? Let me try again. The seventh house is other people. Okay, the seventh house is other people. How close are you to other people? Who are the other people in your life that you are the closest to? I don't care if you are in the dark night of the soul and you are in hermit mode, there is a mailman that you see. So depending on how many close connections you have in this season of life is going to really determine what your seventh house is. Okay. So that's a huge misconception that people make. But with Uranus going direct in the seventh, it might remind you what your values are when it comes to other people and the other people you want to be around. Maybe you meet someone and that someone could be romantic, but it could be a friend that you meet and you're like, that's my kind of person. And it just activates that feeling of like knowing more deeply what you want in your friendships, that authenticity. Now for other Scorpios, this transit happening Thursday especially, but even within the next week or so, might be more about realizing you want to disconnect from a friend or a relationship, where it's realizing that in order to be true to yourself, you can't really be true to yourself and be in this relationship with this other person. I think I think that that's really what it is. I'm trying to think of what else it could be. It's alignment and authenticity in how you relate to other people. Now, we consider that Uranus is the modern ruler of your fourth house of home. Even more, it's like you could meet someone who makes you feel like home, or you can have an experience that, even though it's maybe a more challenging experience, it makes you realize what you don't want, right? So like let's say you are a Scorpio and you hate it when people make fun of you, for example. That might not be the thing, but just the example I'm giving. And then this transit happens, and then someone does that, and you're like, oh, this is not it, right? Or you go on a date and the person is like just totally not your vibe. That could also be a thing, right? Because it's like the fourth house is what you need to feel stable, and like it's how you feel in your own skin. It's our emotional foundation. So the emotional foundation feeling activated by other people. Usually that's going to be a positive, where it's like, again, you meet someone or you have an experience with a person that feels like home. It doesn't mean they're going to stay. It's Uranus. It could be you meet a foreigner and they're just the coolest person, and you're like, oh my gosh, I wish I knew more people like this. And it just connects you with what you want and what you need in relationships. That could be a thing. And what else? I think that's about it for Scorpios, really, with this one. If you want more, check out the Jupiter video, Jupiter Direct video, and check out the Venus conjunct Neptune in your fifth house video, because those are going to also be really interesting. Let's go on now to our Sagittariuses. Let me find the thing. Okay, Sagittarius, Uranus goes direct in the sixth house, which might be changing your habits up. That could be a desire to change, like how you eat, your day-to-day routines, what time you wake up, that kind of thing. It could also be something where you're feeling inspired or more, energy toward cleaning or changing your environment, or just things that require, because the sixth house is kind of like chores, right? It's kind of like stuff you have to do that, you don't always get paid for. That's just like, you got to clean the drain, or you got to wash the car, or you got to do the things that are like, that's why the success is considered bad, because the things we do in the success don't really make our life better. We just have to do them. So now for some Sagittarius, this can be health stuff. For others, this can be job stuff, where it's like you're more inspired to do a certain type of work, or you are more busy at a certain type of work, or there's a change to your work schedule. Or it may not be that, though, right? Because this happens every year, this transit, and it's been happening in the sixth house many, many times. So it's not like a new thing you've never gone through. But I would say that it might activate or bring more energy, because Uranus does energize. So when it's going direct, it's like, okay, now we're changing directions in our habits. Now we're changing in directions with how we're spending our time. And so if you need to make changes to your schedule or your daily routine or something like that, or you've just been wanting to like make more time for a certain thing, this would be a good time to do that, because Uranus will kind of support you in things, or even just bring your awareness is a better way to say it. Bring your awareness to the ways that you spend your time, or the habits that you have that aren't in alignment with the life you want to live. Now let's consider that Uranus is the modern ruler of your third house, of your neighborhood, your local environment. Maybe there's a change to your roommate situation, or you live with, or your neighborhood, or your neighbors, that changes your schedule a little bit. Like maybe now they're making lunch at 2 and you can't anymore, or something else like that, where there's a local environment. Something in the local environment contributes to a schedule change. Worst case scenario, Sagittarius, something happens to your car maybe, and you have to go without it for a couple days, or maybe you're taking some time in the next couple days to address a car thing that's more preventative. Maybe you got some money now, you're putting work into your car or something. Although I don't see money here as much as I just see the third house and sixth house is like we're solving some kind of problems. We're dealing with stuff. We're running errands. We're going to this side of town to get this food, or we're going to, this local farmers market, and then we're gonna come home and use the jam we just bought, or things like this, where the third house is like that local commute, going to the store, and then the sixth house is like what you spend your time on. So all these things changing. I think if you're going to try to use this transit for your highest potential, it would be, how are you spending your time? What do you need to change in your habits to have the outcomes you want to have? And how can you kind of elevate? That's the thing about Uranus, wants to make it better. So you might just, find a supplement that it works better for you, or find a health thing. This is not advice. You might be working with a practitioner of some kind who helps you solve a health problem. So finding solutions to health problems is highlighted right now. So pay attention to that. And then what else could it be? It could be a change to the diet as well, where you're like, I've just been wanting to cut out this food or add in this food or something like that. It's a really good time if you're like, oh, I've been wanting to start this workout, like great time to do that, because the energy is right for that. So making changes to how you spend your time that are more aligned with who you are and who you want to be is what I see for Sagittarius. All right, going on now to our Capricorns. For Capricorn, we have Uranus in the fun house going direct. So that's kind of fun, because it might be, especially if you felt like last few months you've been more focused and more busy and more just like head down getting stuff done. Uranus in the fifth might be like time to come up for air, time to go to a concert, time to go, let loose a little bit and do something enjoyable, right? That Uranus in the fifth can just be like, we're ready to have some more fun. We're aware of how we want to be, bringing authenticity to what you do for pleasure. That can go all the different ways. Okay. But like, for example, I don't want to listen to this kind of music anymore. I want to listen to this now. Oh yeah, I used to love this song when I was younger. Why don't I play it again? Those things where some kind of awareness bubbles up of something you enjoy that maybe was under the surface before, and now it has time and space to be there. It could be reconnecting with a hobby that's like enjoyable, or doing it a little more, just feeling more energized around that area of life. If you have a business, Uranus going direct in the fifth can be just a little bit more forward momentum, more ideas, more energy going toward that. Uranus in the fifth will be a time where you can experiment with different interests and even risk taking, right? Because gambling goes in the fifth house as well. I'm not saying go develop a gambling problem, but for those of you who maybe enjoy gambling, or gambling is on the list of things you could enjoy, this could be a part of it, but that's not going to be everyone. That's just going to be a few select people, if it is anyone. Now, let's consider Uranus is the modern ruler of your second house. Second house of money in the fifth house. You're spending money on something you enjoy. That is all I see. That is really what it is. And it's like, that's the thing about why the second house is related to our values, is because what we value the most is what we will spend our money on. Period. And we can tell ourselves we value health, and then we just eat fast food. You value fast food if you buy fast food. I'm not saying you should eat whatever you want. I don't care. But like, I care, but I'm not one of those people who's like, we all have to live by these values. Like, I'm not going to tell you that. You're an adult, figure it out. Like, anyway, the point is, you're going to be spending your money and your time and your energy, investing it into things you enjoy. At this point, you might just be buying something you like or buying something that has the purpose of bringing more pleasure to your life. I don't care if it's a salt lamp. I don't care if it's jewelry. I don't care. Like it could be anything, right? Because we all enjoy different things. You could be buying a book of crossword puzzles. Like, I don't know you, Capricorn. I don't know what you're into, but this transit really does feel like maybe there's something bigger going on, just a little bit bigger than everyday stuff related to what you're investing in, what you're purchasing, and how that can become more authentic at this time. All right, that's what I have for Capricorns. We're going on now to Aquariuses. All right, Aquarius, we have Uranus in the fourth house of home going direct here. So becoming aware of how you want to spend your private time, being more tapped in and tuned into what you want to be doing when you're by yourself, feeling more energized when you're at home, feeling more energized in the bedroom. Those are all keywords. And because Uranus rules your first house, it's you. So for some of you, this is like you doing things to your actual body in private. Okay, I did not mean that to sound so weird. Here's what I meant. I meant things like things to make your appearance more authentic, or maybe like working out or doing things that are more about you, right? So that could be you journaling when you're by yourself, or you, again, like changing your appearance or doing things to like make your body the way you want it to be and more authentic to who you feel like you are. Whether that is, again, doing a certain exercise, doing yoga, I get the image of like someone like rolling the jade roller on their face, things like that. That's what I meant when I said doing things to your body. So what else? What else was I thinking here? Well, the fourth house is also home. So some Aquariuses might have a change to their home, but it's probably minor. It's probably not life changing unless it's going to be unless like your IC is at 23, then you're probably moving. So some Aquariuses may be thinking about moving or something, because that fourth house is our home, our physical home. It's our emotional foundation, and it's our family of origin. So Uranus direct in the fourth house is like, okay, what are we changing with these things? Where do we want to make this area of life better? Because Uranus kind of does have that energy of like making the world a better place. It's you making your emotional foundation a better place, you making your home a better place, or you making your something with family of origin and making that it kind of goes back to emotional foundation though, like going through some kind of family dynamic in your mind and kind of not settling, but resolving emotional issues. Okay, but Uranus in the fourth really can be one where it's like, it's more about changing what the roots are. It's more about kind of shaking things up a little bit when it comes to the home. So you can do something that makes a change to your home, that's like painting a room where everything, everything kind of gets shaken up. When you paint, you got to move everything away from the walls. And it's like that kind of sort of chaos, so to speak, could be happening for Aquarius. Okay, that is what I have for Aquarius. We're going to go on now to our Pisces. For Pisces, Uranus direct happening today, the 30th of January, but also affecting you through the next week or so, is happening in your third house of your local environment. So this one could really be something external that's not that big of a deal. Like the detour that you were taking, now you don't have to take it anymore. Something changes to your commute. Something changes with your neighbors, your roommate, your sibling. It might not actually be you, because the third house is your local environment and just like where your neighborhood kind of. Okay, so that's one thing. The things that you could be finding are you're becoming more authentic in relationship to could be what you're learning, what you're thinking about, your mind, your communication. Something about that might become more of a focal point this week. You might want to make your communication better. You might have a desire to work on your speech, your diction, your pronunciation, Or you could be desiring to work on like how you come across your marketing, your messaging, just if that applies, but just how you kind of, even if that doesn't apply, marketing is kind of like, can be more of a personal thing when it comes to like how you present yourself to your job, how you get people at work to do what you wanted them to do, like how you communicate, how you express yourself is probably an important topic this week, because not only do we have Uranus in the third, but we also have Venus, Neptune, Venus ruling your third house of communication in the first house with Neptune in the north node. So like that's an important thing right now. If you feel like you're not able to get your point across, you're probably going to feel it this week, Pisces. If you feel like you are able to get your point across, you also might be feeling that. You might find that you are having really nice, lovely conversations with people at this time. And there's something here that maybe has inspired or sparked a desire to focus on communication, or just made communication more interesting and fun. And like, maybe there's just someone in your local environment who's like chatty and having conversations that are like really fun and interesting, and just, a little more energized this week. You could learn something new. You could have learned something new today or yesterday or this coming week that's like, ooh, that's interesting. And it kind of just like sparks that energy. And Uranus is energizing. Uranus going direct can be energizing, but sometimes when planets go direct, even though Uranus is a planet that's very like, suddenly it's working, suddenly it's not, the process of a planet going direct doesn't follow that same energetic pattern. When a planet goes direct, it kind of slow, like they're slow when they're stationing, direct or retrograde. They're very, very slow. So what does that mean? Is that maybe what you're learning, it's like you're slowly coming into learning something. It might not be a sudden lightning bolt moment. It might be you're learning something that later on will have a lightning bolt moment to it, or has the potential to have a lot of enthusiasm behind it, but maybe is not quite. It's like moving at a mermaid's pace. The fun and the excitement and the curiosity is there, but it's moving at a mermaid's pace. Like, I wonder what this would be. And there's nothing wrong there. Let's consider that Uranus is the modern ruler of your 12th house, in the third house of communication and understanding. Well, you might have a desire to consider if you ever self-sabotage based on how you talk or how you communicate. And if that's true, you might just be wanting to make that a little better. If that's not true, it's probably not that. But it could be something where you're taking a 12th house topic, like the subconscious mind, or, private spiritual practices. And that's like really top of mind. And it's just really something that is important right now. And then with Venus being conjunct Neptune, being the ruler of this Uranus direct, it kind of feels like, let me think. Yeah, you could have some very lovely, beautiful conversations, or even, even things that aren't conversations where because the third house is not just you talking, right? It's also what you're thinking. And so your thinking can just be really nice. You can just have nice thoughts, nice thoughts, and with Venus and Neptune there, it's like nice thoughts that help you realize spiritual truths, nice thoughts that help you, you might just be listening to something or following something, or doing a meditation, or receiving spiritual information that kind of like washes over your soul and is very soothing to you. So for Pisces who want to use this transit for your highest good, I would say dive into that subconscious for a couple days if you want to. I mean, dive into some kind of spiritual thing that is just like really lovely, and it might not be spiritual, because Venus Neptune in Pisces can also be like a video game with the best visuals. It could be a fantasy movie, or a movie that takes you to another world. It doesn't have to be fantasy. It could be any movie, right? Because movies are always fantasy, right? It doesn't have to be the genre. It could be psychological thriller. It could be a war movie, whatever you're into. I don't know why I always say guy stuff. And my channel's not mostly guys. So I don't know. I like psychological thrillers and war movies, but it could be a drama or a comedy or a rom-com or, something else that you love watching, some kind of something witchy or whatever you think of when you hear the word fantasy and when you think of the place you would want to escape to, right? So I'm not normally telling Pisces to go escape, but today I might be because it just feels like there's so much you could take in when is with Neptune in the North Node, especially if you are someone who practices any kind of altered states of consciousness. I would say today, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, this whole weekend, any time would be a really good time to kind of like connect with any discipline that has that element of taking you to another world, whether it be a spiritual practice, a meditation, whether you do Reiki, whether you do tarot, whether you do hypnotherapy, theta, whatever. I know you guys, okay? I know what you guys are into. Whether it be just like watching your favorite movie, playing your favorite game, whatever it is you do, I would really, really, really highly encourage Pisces to see what you can take in, from that alternate universe, whatever that is for you. So I'm going to stop there. I think that's a nice place to leave it. And if you didn't hear before, I am doing a reading sale that's going to start on the 1st of February. And they do tend to book up pretty quickly when I first launch them. So if you want to get in on that, just get on my email list now. And then you'll be one of the first to know when that opens up so you can book it right away. Okay, beautiful souls, that is all I have for you today. I will see you all in the next video. Bye.